Hey guys, this is Pastor Autry. Thank you for joining us for another Bible Brief. We're here every Wednesday. If you can join us via Zoom, the information's on the screen. If not, don't worry. We're going to post it right here on YouTube. Give us that like, give us that share. Let us know how we're doing. We want you to be enriched. Well, let's join today's brief in progress. God bless you.
Thank you, brother. It's not hard to make decisions when you know your value. That gave me some lift. Good morning, brothers. I'm going to come from Mark chapter 4. It's a familiar passage of scripture when Jesus calms the storm. I'm going to read 35 through 40 from the New International Version. It says, "That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, 'Let us go to the other side.' Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along, just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with them. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat, so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, 'Teacher, don't you care if we drowned?' He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, 'Quiet, be still.' Then the wind died down and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, 'Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?'" If I had to put a title on this, I would call this Calm Before the Storm. It has been said in life that we are either in a storm, coming out of a storm, or about to go into a storm. And if you live long enough, like my papa used to say, keep living, you understand that. We're from the moment we're born, life is full of trouble. And this is a familiar passage of scripture, but something recently happened really kind of drew me to this scripture. And I want to point out three things briefly this morning. I want to hear from you, brothers. First of all, I noticed when I read it this time that they started out on the water when it was evening time and it got eventually nighttime. And I don't know how many of you are, sportsmen, you fish. I know Brother Hartfield's an avid fisherman. I grew up on Lake Texoma up there in Denison, Texas. One thing is for sure, and even today we have electricity all over the place, but one thing is for sure is when it's dark on the water at night, it is pitch dark. You can't see hardly nothing. And when the storm came, now you don't even have the moonlight. So it strikes me that this storm happens and, they're being tossed and turned. And it was really dark, what makes it even more scary because you can easily get disoriented and you don't know which way is up. And it's good to know that no matter how bad it seems for us, no matter how uncertain the outcome might be in this storm, that Jesus is very comfortable in this situation with you. You look at verse 38. I love the language, the word choices used in scripture at times, because it said Jesus was asleep with his head on a cushion. And on some other versions in Mark and in Luke and Matthew, it says his head was on a pillow. And to me, that's just more emphasis on how comfortable Jesus was. He was getting some good sleep while everybody was frantic and panicking. But it's just good to know that as long as Jesus is in this situation with us, we can draw on some of that comfort, knowing that Jesus is not worried and he's working something out in this with you. The second thing that I didn't quite notice before about this passage of scripture is in verse 36, it says that there were other boats with them. Now I can imagine, just using my sanctified imagination here, I can imagine that the other people on the boats, they were in the same storm, right? That the disciples and Jesus was in. And I can just imagine if I was on one of their boats, I'd be looking over at their boat like, look, they with Jesus, to see how they acted in this storm. And that's just something to remember, that when we are going through storms, people are always watching. And we all know people who go through storms, and they have a testimony when they come out of that storm, and we don't even know that they were in a storm because they just maintained a certain energy and certain level of joy. And that we can do when we know Jesus is with us in the storm. And on the other hand, it's easy to criticize the disciples for panicking and being afraid. But what they did do is they called on Jesus. So even if the storm is bad that you're going through, and you're starting to get a certain anxiety, I think it's instructive that we can cry out to Jesus, because he's waiting for us to call on him so that he might increase our faith and bring us comfort. And then the third thing I get from this is it's instructive to me how useful storms are to move us to a new level of faith. Because in verse 40, Jesus says to the disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" Now, keep in mind, these disciples, just, passages of scripture before Mark 4, they were with Jesus, watching him heal the sick and cure the lame. They were watching him perform miracles. They were watching the crowds gather around him teaching. So they believed that he was the Son of God. But when storms come, I think they're useful for us, because no matter how much experience we have with Jesus in our life, with God in our life, bringing us through things, healing us, watching him do miraculous things in our lives and the lives of others, when storms come, we still get anxiety. When storms come in our life, we still can get fearful. When storms come, we still can have doubts about what's going to be the outcome. But the persistence of storms in life is for God to continue to move us to a new level of belief, to prepare us for the assignment, for equipping us for new challenges that we're going to face in life that we don't know yet, or to even prepare us for new responsibilities that he has in store for us. So no matter how well we think we know God, or how many times that he's shown us who he is, storms will come to move us to a new level of belief and confidence in him. So I want to hear from the brothers as to where you are. If you're recently come out of a storm, what can you share with us that you've learned that might help us? If you feel that you're in the middle of a storm right now, what do you think you need? Because this is a council of good witnesses here. This is a council of good brothers here. What do you need? Do you need prayer? Do you need passages of scripture that might be helpful? Books or inspiration? Or maybe you're looking for resources, information, or opportunities, like a connection. What is it that you need if you feel that you're in the middle of a storm? And maybe you're in that place of calm. You came out of a storm and it's been a while, and you're enjoying the peace that comes with it. How are you enduring in the calm? I hate to be Debbie or Donnell Downer, but chances are storms on the horizon. But what are you doing in the calm that can prepare yourself for any impending storm? Because it's in that calm that we forget what we experienced with Jesus in the past. But we can gird ourselves with sharing that testimony, teaching that wisdom, sharing that wisdom in the calm to other brothers who are going through or coming out. So how are you preparing yourself?